Hey guys, it's YC here, and as promised, this is a video showing you guys how I do my chainmailing and what goes on. It's going to be sort of like an instructional video, so you can, if you feel like it, follow along and do some chainmailing of your own. There's plenty of stuff on the internet though. With me today is Jason.
Hey.
And he's going to be narrating.
Yep.
Alright, so let's begin.
Alright, so we begin with the necessities of making chainmail. First off, we have our coil of wire. It is 16 gauge bright aluminum wrapped around a 5/8 of an inch wide dowel. We used an apparatus that we made ourselves, and with a process and the apparatus we will show you in another video. Pretty much the material and size of the rings and so on is pretty much up to you. Then we have the wire cutter, which will nicely remove the rings and separate them from the coil. Here we have what is basically some sort of garden shear, but anything that cuts the wires nicely and doesn't require too much force for you is going to be good. Last off, we have two pliers for shaping each ring open and closed in order to make the chainmail. We wrapped the end of them with paper and tape in order to reduce damage to the rings as we work with them. Alright, so the first important step to this is to cut the rings from the coil using the wire cutter, or whatever you may have on hand. You'll want to pick something that's easy to work with and does not require too much force to cut rings. Now, you basically want to take off first the little excess at the end, because you won't be able to use that. And just throw it away. I don't know if it can be recycled. You might want to check. Then essentially you start cutting rings. Just make sure they're lined up nicely. Both ends of the rings are roughly next to each other so that they match nicely. With this cutter we can actually cut three or four at a time. And then keep going until you finish the roll. And you have a lot of new rings.
Okay, so the next step obviously is to shape the rings, because when we cut them, they were in their original coil shape. So as you can see, they're not lined up straight, but they're not open enough for you to slide another ring in. So they're kind of useless right now. So what you need to do is make two types of rings. You're going to want rings that are closed, completely flat like this, and that's going to give you a perfect ring. Or you want them open, so give it a millimeter or two of gap so that you can slide other rings into it and then close it. So that's how you're going to be doing your chainmailing. Today we're going to be doing European 6-in-1. That means that every one of these rings will have 6 other rings going through it. Now this is a less common weave, but it does look a little bit denser in the end. The most common weave is actually European 4-in-1. That means that 4 rings are in every one ring, so every ring has 4 through them.
Alright, so first you're going to take a ring, and then you're going to take one end with a plier, apply enough force to hold it, and with the other end bring it parallel to the edge and twist one way or the other to either close it or open it. Here we will open the ring to start us off. It's a nice spiral. And move on to another ring. Generally, when we start, we'll want 6 closed rings and 1 open ring, but when we get to speed weaving, as we'll see later, you will need approximately 2 closed rings for every open ring. Alright, let's start making closed rings. Just twist them a bit, about a millimeter or 2. This makes the ring flush at the point where you cut it. so that it doesn't catch on anything, and it's a perfectly closed ring. And then we just keep going.
Yeah, you're going to want to wait until you have a good little pile of these things. Obviously, all of these didn't come from that one coil that you saw. That coil could have made a lot more. This is more or less 4 cuts full. This is good to get you started. You can definitely get like maybe 3 or 4 centimeters from this, maybe 2 or 3 centimeters. But if you're going to want to, do a bracelet or something small like that, you're going to want to maybe use all of that coil that we showed you, or something like that. But yeah, get a little mound of both of these, the open ones and the closed ones, before you decide to start actually weaving them together.
Yep. Alright, so first part of actually starting to weave this thing is to make a starting point. For 6-in-1, you'll want 1 open ring and 6 closed ones. So what you do is just slot the closed ones in, one by one, until you have 6 of them just dangling there. Yep. Then you can close the open ring. And you've got a starting point for the European 6-in-1. Now you can lay it on the table with 3 on each side of the ring, and it kind of gives you an idea of how it's going to look later. And this type of layout is also important for speed weaving, which we will get to next.